Welcome to day one of Meet Yourself Again. Thank you for joining me today, or if you're joining me on the replay, thank you for watching. I'm Jennifer Walker. I'm a business alignment coach, and I am really excited. Really excited to be talking to you today. It's so wonderful to be able to stream something like this in my Facebook group and to have it reach out, not just sort of in my immediate area, but from wherever you're streaming in from. So you can definitely comment if you want on where you're watching from. I'd love to know. I should be able to see the comments here. So fingers crossed. This is the first time that I've done this, specifically where I've gone live in my Facebook group in a series of events, and I'm just super excited about it. So hi, if you're here, you can say hi too. If you don't want to tell us where you're from, that's fine. So just a reminder, there is a PDF that goes along with this. So it's a PDF that goes along with the first 4 days of the 5 days, and they have clarifying. I have created it. So there's clarifying questions in it that should help you have just the best experience possible from this whole series. So before we begin, and I'll put a link in the comments to that so that you can get it later in case you haven't seen that come through anywhere. There'll be a link that you can go and it'll register you, but it's just basically so that you can have access to get that PDF and also access to these videos, because these videos are not going to stay in the group forever. They're going to be moved over to another page. So if you want access to those until the end of the year, make sure that you go and follow that link along there. So I'd just like to bring us all into the present moment, because I don't know where you're tuning in from. And sometimes when we're, especially Mondays, you know those Monday vibes where you're trying really hard to be productive and get stuff done and just go, 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 and there's that hustle happening. So let's just take a few moments and let's just breathe. So you can do this with your eyes open if you'd like. I prefer to do it with my eyes closed, so I'm going to do it with my eyes closed. And just become aware of your breath first, without changing it. Just bringing awareness to it. Is it fast or is it slow? Is it shallow or does your breath go deep? Are you clenching your jaw at all? Something I do a lot. Relax the jaw, if that's the case for you. And on your next inhale, take it in for 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold for a beat. Out. 2, 3. And keep going like that. In, 2, 3. Out. 2, 3. And your next inhale, let's see if we can do it for 4 beats. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Beat. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the next inhale, let's up it to 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold a beat. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And see if you can continue through with the 5 beat. Now bringing your awareness to the rest of your body. How are you seated in your chair? Are you comfortable? Do you feel supported? Are you balanced? Or are you leaning too far forward, back, or side to side? See if you can relax into your chair while keeping your spine relatively straight. And on your next inhale, rolling your shoulders up towards your ears, and exhale, rolling them back down. Hopefully that brought you into the present moment. Wiggle our toes and fingers if you like, and if you did, close your eyes, gently fluttering them open. Hey, look, it's still going. I didn't have technical issues while my eyes were closed. Thank you all so much for coming in for that and really bringing yourself into the moment and making yourself more present with me, but also with your own body. That's something that I do regular on the daily. Sometimes I do it multiple times in the day as I go into different client sessions. And I find it super, super, super helpful as I move through my day. And so that I don't get stuck in the, like my to-do list, or I'm rushing through things. And so feel free to take that with you and add it to your toolbox if you don't already. And if you do, here's your reminder. So welcome to day one, meet yourself again. Meet yourself again. Why did I title this Meet Yourself Again? Well, I spent a really long time trying to figure out what to call this series, and every time I came up with something, it was it was kind of funny, like lunch and a line, and just kind of cheesy. And then I was called one day to this podcast, and if anyone's ever heard of Greg Braden, he gave this talk. I want to say it was end of 2019. And he speaks a lot about all of the places that he travels in search of alignment and meaning and purpose. And he's a scientist, but this is part of his journey, and part of his exploration is to find out, more. Who are we? Who are we? It's a deep question. And he attended to several, I want to say, events that this particular society held, this particular culture, and it's a very old culture. Can't remember if he said it was Incan or Mayan based, like driving from there, but basically they have this calendar, and this calendar has different sections to it. And the last section that came through was this shift section that was happening. And now we are in this place of meet yourself again. And I just thought that was so impactful and so powerful, because every shift that we go through, if you think about in your life, when you have even a little shift, sometimes it's enough to have you rethink paradigms, belief systems, the people that you're with, the relationships that you're in, even like little things. And so in any given moment, we need to check in. We need to meet ourselves again. And especially as we have just gone through the biggest set, not just one set of shifts that most of us have experienced in our entire lives. And that maybe it might be the largest shift we'll experience in our life ever for some of us. And we're talking how many, 20 months now we're into this shift, these shifts that keep coming at us and coming at us and coming at us. And sometimes we are so much into dealing with it out here that we forget to deal with it in here. And by bringing awareness back into ourselves and meeting ourselves again where we're at now, in order to figure out where we want to go, where we need to go, is so important. It's so important. And like that, when I heard that podcast, that's exactly what I'm trying to get people to do. That's what I need to do. I need to meet myself again. So that's where that came from. And that's sort of where we're operating out of as we move forward for the next couple of days. So I wanted to make sure that we were going to bring order to our minds before we try and bring order to everything else. Bring order to our spirits, bring order to our souls, whatever you want to call it, whatever resonates with you. You need to bring order to this and out further, in all directions, that auric field. You need to bring order to that before you can bring order anywhere else. Think about it. Have you ever tried to do something like, I'm going to use camping as an example. Anyone ever been camping, organizing for a trip? If you are not bringing order to yourself, your luggage, your itinerary, all of those things, before you go on a trip, you could have a really rough trip, especially camping. There's so much to think about before you go out, so much to feel about before you go out camping. And so when we're talking about this in terms of our lives, in terms of our businesses, making sure that we are examining where we're at right now and bringing order to ourselves before we move forward, because you can build a business right now without doing this. You can. Absolutely. Will it be a long-lasting business? Could be, maybe. Will the business move forward with flow? Probably not. Will it be successful? It depends on what your definition of success is. But when you take the time to sit with yourself, to figure out who you are right now and what you want out of this life that is yours, so important. When you do that, you're going to build the business that you need for your life. You're going to build the business that resonates best with other people. You are going to build the business that is going to make the biggest impact. When you sit with yourself first and examine where you are. Does that make sense? Sitting and figuring that out, because you can build a business of any kind. But if it's going to be successful on all levels, it's got to be something that fills you here, not just in your pocket. Pocket's important too, but it's got to fill you here as well. So we've had so many big shifts, and there's, only maybe like a little over a month left of this year of 2021. Like, what? I was making notes about it. I had my notes over here and I'm going, wait a second. Yeah, there's only a little over a month left. Is anyone else shocked? There's not much left time. Oh my God, don't hyperventilate about holiday shopping. Everything's going to be fine. You're where you need to be right now. So you're here for a reason, right? Something in the messaging that I sent out resonated with you. Something that I said made you go, yeah, I do need to meet myself again. Yeah, I do need to figure this out before I move into my next year. Yeah, I don't even know if I really know myself right now and where I want to go. There's so many people in this place, so don't feel alone. There's so many people who are feeling this right now. And so if you are tired of being uncertain and you're tired of being overwhelmed, and maybe you're even tired of being afraid. There's so much fear right now. There's so much. And I hear you, and it's not unreasonable for that to exist for you. But staying in it is not going to help you move forward. I call it growing forward. It's not going to help that. So you're here because you know that on some level, you know that. And this particular day and the exercises that I provided in that PDF that you can have access to. Again, I'm going to put the link in there for anyone who's tuning in a bit late. I'm going to put the link for the PDF accompaniment to these 5 days of alignment in the comments, and just making sure that you take some time to go look at that, because they're questions that are going to help you bring that awareness. The thing about awareness, and I'm sure most of you who are listening are fairly, I'm going to say, awake to this, because I don't think you would be here if you weren't. You know, on some level, that at this exact moment, you're creating your life. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes we feel like the control is outside of us. And it happens to me. Look, I'm not, and by no means am I perfection. What is it? I am not your guru. but it's understanding that in this moment, in every moment, you are creating your life, whether it's by decision or default. You're creating your life in this moment. And understanding that can be super scary. It's such a heavy responsibility to sit back and say, oh yeah, I am responsible for my life, and like really let it sink in. It's easier, we think. I don't think it actually is easier, but it's easier, we think, to put the responsibility and sometimes even the blame on outside forces. Have you caught yourself doing that at any point? Probably a lot this year. If it weren't for this person, I could do this. If it weren't for that person, I could do that. If it weren't for this organization, I could do this. I can't because they. I can't because this. Have you said any of these things? I've said them. I've said them. But the important part is the awareness of catching yourself and saying, wait a second, is it really them? Is it really they? Is it really all this faceless corporation, this giant organization that's controlling me and I have no choice? You always have a choice. You always have a choice. And it might not be a choice that you like. That's the kicker. It might not be a choice that you're like really fond of, but you always do have a choice. You always do. And understanding that by refusing to accept that you have a choice, your life is being created, but by default. Hi, Hasti. I see someone on here. I know. Hi, Hasti. Thanks for joining. So that's the big question. Do you want to create your life by decision or by default? I have yet to have someone answer by default. You really want to feel like you have no control? Believe that you are going to create your life by default. It's a difficult thing. It's not easy to accept responsibility for that. We have, think about when you were a kid, always being like, well, it's not my fault he, or it's not my fault she. Like, it's our natural choice to try and push out the responsibility outward, but the responsibility is always inward in creating our own lives. And I'm not saying that some people don't have it more struggle than others. They absolutely do. They absolutely do, and I recognize that fully, but there are always decisions in there, and they can be way harder for some people than others. Way harder for some people than others to make, but they're still decisions. That's right. Lana says intentional decisions. That's exactly it. You're making an intentional decision in your life. And by continually putting external forces as the reason that something is or isn't happening for you is really unfair to yourself, because you're taking away your own power. And it took me a really long time personally to learn that lesson, honestly. In the moment, it feels a lot easier to push it outside of you, but in the long term, things compound. Things compound and it becomes a lot more difficult. So, going into that PDF, which I hope you all will download, and I'm going to put the link. And like I did my own, this is not me saying like, go do the PDF, but I didn't do it. Like I did the work. I did the PDF, and some of the questions I didn't like answering. So if you're like, God, Jen, this is hard. It's okay. I feel you. I had a little bit of trouble too. So the question I do want to focus on right now, though, is it'll be on page 3. It's day 1, page 3, question 5, and I believe that there are 3 really important questions when it comes to prosperity, when it comes to your ability to prosper. Now, let me just start this by saying you do have the ability to prosper. Even if we have never met, even if you're like, it's like, who is she talking to? I'm talking to you. You have the ability to prosper. You do. There's a few questions that have to have all the answer yes for you to reach your highest potential on it, in my mind. One is, are you willing to put in the work? Are you? That's not in here, but that's one of the questions. Are you willing to put in the work? It's a big question. Do you deserve the success and to prosper? That's a hard one to unpack. Do you deserve it? If you had trouble answering yes to that, on page 4, I want you to like unpack the evidence on that. There's questions like, are your statements true? What's the evidence on whether or not you deserve it? Are they though? Are your statements true? Are they though? Is there someone you could talk to that's outside your quote unquote forest of evidence who could give you a less biased look at your situation without judging you? Is there? Find somebody. I'm sure there's someone in your life. And if there isn't, you can reach out to your mentor, colleagues who you trust, coaches, someone like me. Reach out and see. You know, if you can't convince yourself, maybe you need an unbiased eye on it. And then so the last thing, which is actually question 5 here, when it comes to prospering and affecting change in your life, do you believe that you can affect change? Do you believe you can affect change in your life, in your business? Why or why not? And then when you write that down and you sort of really clarify it for yourself, ask yourself those questions. If you answered no, if you answered no, I don't believe I can do it, prove it. Why can't you? And then ask yourself the qualifying questions. Are your statements true? Are they though? It seems silly, right? I'm asking the same question twice, but like sometimes you gotta drill down a little bit more into that. And then if you're still getting no at the end of it, we always tell people to ask for a second opinion. Go for a second opinion. Find someone. Reach out and find someone who can give you a second opinion on this. Did you present a solid case as to why you don't believe that you can do it? So that's page 2 and page 3 and page 4, which is day 1 in the PDF that you'll get if you sign up, or if you have already signed up, go download it. It's good exercises. It's good something to check, and it, it's important. And the thing about how you answer these is that everything that you've written down, especially 5, do you believe that you can affect change in your life? Whatever you put down, you're right. Whatever you put down, yes or no, you're right. We will always seek to prove our beliefs to be true. It's this wonderful double-edged sword in the human belief system. We will always seek to prove our own beliefs. This is why it's super, super, super important to listen to what other people have to say. I'm not saying you have to change your thoughts based on it, but if you listen to what other people say and then you examine it and you see what fits for you and what doesn't, and see like, will that affect my beliefs or not? And sometimes it's important to do. Well, it's always important to look at the other side, right? To examine the other side in an unbiased way. So if you're saying to me, Jen, I don't believe I can do it. And I say, okay, present to me the evidence as to why you can't do this. And then I ask you qualifying statements. Is that true? Like, is it true? having someone to reflect back to you potential inconsistencies in your belief system, especially when it comes to yourself. I mean, that's really hard. It's hard to examine yourself and reflect. That's why it's great to have a partner to do that with you, or a mentor or a coach, like a friend who's, unbiased as much as possible. Someone who won't judge you, to reflect that back to you, because that belief is so important. That belief that whether or not you can affect change, if you don't deal with it now, as you're meeting yourself again, you're going to struggle with it the whole way through. I've been there. I've done it. I'm sure you have in other aspects of your life. And before we get into the rest of your alignment, figuring out where you are first and calibrating based on that is so important. And let's find out where your belief in yourself and your capacity to do the things that you want to do lie. Where is it? And then let's challenge it and make sure that you are not doing yourself a disservice. Go through those questions, but also leave today with the understanding that your current results do not have an impact on your future outcomes. I know it feels like it does. It feels like sometimes you're stuck in a loop, or you haven't been able to get to that next level, whatever the next level looks like for you. But most people haven't sat down and done this work. Meeting yourself again means you're entering the arena with a greater understanding this time. So let that sink in a little bit. Hasty says, for me, always not having the results fast keeps me doubting my decisions, or the idea that I expect specific results at the specific times is challenging when I intentionally decide. Mm-hmm. Yep, patience. There's a reason there's a statement called patience is a virtue. I get it. I get it. You've made up your mind, and then you're like, okay, this is what I want. Where is it? How come it's not happening? Where is it? Let's go, hustle. It's hard. It is, but we can do hard things. We can be patient, and we can examine at the same time. So I shared on my Facebook page that I had, thank you for sharing that, Hasty, by the way. I shared that I had woken up just in front of the partial eclipse the other night, and I got to witness it actually. So I could see it through this window that's right in front of me here, but I had to sit down on my dog's bed to watch. I had to sit down because otherwise I was like this watching it, and that was just not comfortable. So I sat down and I watched, and I meditated, and I, did all the things that when you get woken up at just shy of 4 a.m, you're kind of like, okay, well, if I'm going to be up, I'm going to at least make the most of this beautiful eclipse that's happening. And one of the things that happened to me in that space was that I was sitting here and I was like, and then I heard like, you need to release, and I had some things and I released them, and it felt really good. And then I was like, oh, it's still going. Okay. Yeah, still going. Because it was the longest eclipse in something like 600 years. So the longest eclipse in something like 600 years. So it's the longest one that I've ever seen. And I realized as I was sitting there, and I kept like peeking and looking, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I did want to have my eyes open for some of it because it was gorgeous. If anyone saw it, let me know, because it was beautiful. It was a clear sky here in Ottawa, so I could see it. And one of the things I got was like, oh, patience, right? Patience. So the messages that I received before, combined with there's an element of patience, and it's it's one of the universal laws. One of the universal laws is the law of gender, the law of gestation, that we need to have time built in to this, because think about it. It's lovely that we want to be master manifestors. It's great. It's wonderful. But imagine if we got everything we wanted the second we asked for it. Oh. You have moments where you think you want something and you haven't really examined it, and you're just like, I want this, and shabam, if it showed up right away. There's a reason there's a built-in law of gender and law of gestation. I had this conversation with my mentor the other day, and that's what she was saying. Like, can you imagine if we manifested right off the bat? What a mess the world would be. What a mess. You know, you're having a really bad day. You're like, I want this, and it manifests. You're like, oh no, that's not actually what I wanted. I just thought of it in the moment. You know, so allowing that patience, allowing that time is just really important. And it sucks, but it's important. So Hasti, and anyone else who had a similar thought about that, like, I know what I want, and how come it's, you know, it's taking a long time, or it's not showing up? And there's two things to that. One is what I just talked about, is like, it's actually a good thing. It's actually a good thing that it takes some time. It's a good thing that it takes time. And then the second thing is that it allows us to really reflect on it in that time. It allows us to really reflect on that. And sometimes things don't show up the way we think they're going to. And it's not till later that you think, oh, I did ask for this. I did ask for this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Mary-Louise, thank you so much. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining in, Mary-Louise. Lana says there's a reason why the universe doesn't give us all we want immediately. Exactly. There's really good reasons. We also do have to be ready for it, and that's part of it, right? So everything that you need doesn't have to be created. Everything that you desire doesn't have to be created. It already exists. It's just waiting for you to be ready. I know it sounds cliche, but it's totally true. In my experience, it's just waiting for you to be ready. Yeah, Hasti says, yeah, patience. You can do it. Giselle says it's like oh my God, you're gonna make me say this word, smorgasbord. You don't want to eat everything all at once. You want to pace it out. Exactly. We need to pace it out, because like Lana was saying, we have to be ready for it. We have to be ready for it. And just making sure that it's coming to us with intention, and that we also reflect back and make sure that we didn't get what we wanted, but we didn't realize it. And I have a story about that. I'll just share it quickly. So some of you know this. Was it 2018? I think it was 2018. No, 2019. 2019, I was having a bad day. I was having a bad day in 2019, which seems so silly to say now. But I was having a bad day in 2019, and I was walking around the house being like, God, I need a break. I need a break. Oh my God, I need a break. I just need a break. I just need a break from everything. Okay, delete. This is just me telling a story, just in case. And I was frustrated, and I was upset, and I just really want to go on vacation. I just really wanted it. It had been a really gross weather day outside. It was freezing rain. It was disgusting. And I was cleaning up in the kitchen, and how I did it, I'm not even 100% sure, but I knocked this wine glass into the sink, and a piece of it flew up and sliced my pinky finger. And I was like, oh my God, it made me even more enraged. I was like, God, as if like, why did I do that? And I was so upset about this wine glass breaking and everything. And so I cleaned it up. I cleaned out my finger, and still stomping around the house saying my mantra of the day, which was I need a break. And looking back, I realized that I've been saying it for several months leading up to that. It was not just that day, but it was said a lot that day. And so when my husband got home, I was like, I need to go get groceries, or we're not going to have blah, blah, blah for whatever. And so I went outside and I was stomp, 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 and just whoosh, crack. I broke my ankle. I've never broken anything in my life. And I never want to break anything again. It was so painful. It was so painful. And looking back on it now, I realized how unintentional I was being with my words, and that I had been stomping around saying I needed a break, I wanted a break for months. And it got really intense that one day. And the wine glass breaking, that was a warning. That was the universe saying, you sure? You sure you want a break? Okay, we'll give you a little one and see how you react. And instead of taking that and taking the time to breathe and sitting with what had just happened, I continued on my rant and my like really negative mantra of needing a break. And then I got a real break, a break that it took me months to heal from, and that I'm still, you know, somewhat healing from today. And so I got a break. I got a physical break. And I also got a break in the sense that I couldn't see as many clients as I was having surgery, and I had some healing that I needed to do. So yeah, I totally got a break. Was it a fun break? It was not a fun break. So now, if I'm having one of those days and stomping around the house, I say, I need a fully paid all-inclusive vacation to somewhere south, warm and beautiful, 4 stars or higher. Now it's a long mantra, but man, it's long, but better than saying what I said before. And I no longer even use the terms I need a break. I use I need a breather, because it reminds me to stop what I'm doing and breathe. So from me to you, there's another pearl of wisdom, as Marie-Louise called it. Take the time to be more intentional with your words and see where your energy is going. And because you could be manifesting exactly what you've been saying you wanted without even realizing it. So thank you so much for everyone who listened today, who joined in. If you have signed up to have access to the PDF and the videos, they will be uploaded sometime this week onto that page where you downloaded the PDF. And again, I'm going to put the link in here as soon as the live closes out, so that you can have access to that if you haven't already. And yeah, there's your homework for those of you who like homework, filling in page 2, 3, and taking a look at page 4 and answering those questions. And figure out where you are right now. Do you feel like you're on the right path? And are you willing to change, or which is a question that's not in there, but are you willing to change where you are? Are you willing to do what you need to do? Do you feel that you deserve it? And what's in the PDF, question 5, do you believe that you can do it? And do a little reflection and ask for a little help. You can even ask in the group if somebody wants to partner up with you. That'd be totally cool too. You can just drop a comment down below this video. See if anyone wants to partner up with you and help you examine that. And then there's always me. There's that too. So that's it for today. For any of those of you who are really trying to get into your lunch before you have to go back to a meeting or something like that, thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions that come up from this, feel free. I'll take a look at them tomorrow before the next video and answer as many as I can. And we'll see you tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day.